Hey guys, what's up? Hope everybody's doing good out there today. Thanks for taking a few minutes to tune back in. Much appreciated. And I'm heading down to Jasper, Alabama to the Bassmaster Open down there this coming week. I'm going to start practicing tomorrow. It'll give me two and a half days of practice. I know most of the guys are already down there practicing, but this is as soon as I could get away for it. But really looking forward to it. I hadn't fished a tournament since May. We had our last Toyota Series tournament in May. We had a tournament, a Bassmaster canceled in April that they rescheduled for this week. Then in 2 weeks, I've got the next Bassmaster Open down at Grand Lake. Looking forward to that one. And then we have the Toyota Series Championship the last week of October, which I'm looking forward to. Not looking forward to where it's at Lake Pickwick, but looking forward to getting to fishing that, and I'm pretty excited about that. So anyway, headed down there, and man, it's sort of weird. This is the first tournament I've been to since my dad passed away, and it's really weird because, you know, he was always up every morning. He'd always give me a call on the way to these tournaments, and you know, we talk every day, but he'd call me at the tournament, so, you know, just checking in, and he'd always give me the weather forecast. He goes, well, you're going to be running into some rain down there. You know, you got to watch those skies. So it's a little weird not having Dad checking in the morning. So anyway, heading that way. But anyway, what I want to do is the video I was driving today is I wanted to pose the question and sort of give you guys my opinion. Are bass anglers, are professional bass anglers, are they athletes in the true sense of the word? And the reason I wanted to do this is my wife Kim is a competitive power lifter. She can squat over 400 pounds, and she can bench press almost 200 pounds. So she's definitely like a world-class power lifter, you know, and hadn't been in it very long. And we always have this discussion back and forth. Kim does not think that professional bass anglers are athletes, and I think they're athletes a little bit. I'll explain why. First of all, I want to go a little bit back, you know, just real briefly touched on what got me into fishing as a competitor, because I'm sort of unlike a lot of guys out there. I can't stand team sports. I mean, it's like baseball, football, basketball, all that stuff. I could care less about watching it. I mean, I have zero interest in team sports. I don't know who makes the Super Bowl every year. I don't know who's in the Super Bowl. I don't know who's in the World Series. I have no interest in it. And the reason I don't is because when I was in high school, back then I loved baseball. I loved to play baseball. I just was ate up with it. I followed it a lot. And anyway, I tried out my sophomore year for the varsity baseball team in my high school I was at. And I was a pretty good ball player. I played first base. And anyway, there was a position open for first baseman. That's what I played. And there was two of us that tried out for it. And so we got up there, me and this other kid, and we had our, you know, fielding drills and our hitting drills and all that type of stuff. And we were pretty equal when we did the fielding part of it. But when in the tryout part for the hitting, it's like I just absolutely hammered this guy in hitting. It's like, you know, I was just on fire that day. I'd hitting line drive doubles, a couple home runs, just really had it clicking. And he was struggling. He was just, you know, hitting grounders and, you know, popping out and that type of stuff. So after the tryouts, I was 100% sure I was going to make the team. So they posted the results a couple days later in the gym, and this other guy had got the position of first base, and I couldn't believe it. It's like, what the heck, you know? It was just like such an injustice. And anyway, to make a long story short, I found out about 5 or 6 months later that the baseball coach, one of his good friends, was the parents of the boy that had gotten, you know, the position at first base. So it was like one of those things that happen in the world that just like, it's like, you know, takes away your innocence. Like, just, you know, my first real injustice that I ever experienced. So that experience about getting screwed and not making the baseball team, it led me into individual sports like bowling and fishing, because I knew that nobody could take that away from me. It's like whatever I did in those sports was completely determined by myself, and I could basically, chart my own destiny without having some coach that was buddies with another person, and it all become political type of thing. So that's what got me into it. But anyway, back to the original conversation about our bass anglers athletes. Kim doesn't think they are, simply because I know how hard that she trains. I mean, she trains 5 days a week for her powerlifting, and puts a lot of time in it, and in bass fishing we don't physically train like that. But at the same time, the reason that I consider professional bass anglers athletes is the fact that what you have to do over a sustained period of time. I've fished with a lot of different guys out there that are in really good shape. I mean, guys that are just CrossFitters, physical specimens, pro athletes. And guys, I can tell you right now, if you go fishing, or say you go to a bass tournament for a week like I'm coming up here, and you get up every morning at 4 o'clock in the morning and you're fishing out there in all different type of elements, you're up and down the boat all day, you're moving, you're on the trolling motor, you're making 2,000 casts a day, you're running in rough water, there's a lot of different physical things that take a toll, along with the mental aspect of it. And then you do this all day long, come off the lake at dark, and you do this for an entire week. I can promise you, and I have seen it over and over again, it will just take down the most fit people in the world if you're not conditioned to it. So from that standpoint, there is some athleticism as far as all of the muscle memory and everything, the balance and everything that has to be put into place in order to compete at a top level. Now, a lot of people will point out to me, it's like, okay, look at some of those pros out there that they look like they're really out of shape. And yeah, most bass anglers are in pretty good shape, but there's a handful of guys out there that I fished around my careers that are just they don't look like they're in that good of shape. They're overweight. They maybe not have the best diets or whatever like that, but they still perform. My argument that justifies why they are athletes as well is, you look at some of the athletes in other sports. You take some of the big giant MMA fighters, or some of the big linebackers in pro football. A lot of these guys, they are so big and fat they can't even hardly move around. But even though that they're big guys also can have athleticism. They've got abilities unique in their physical makeup that allow them to excel on that level. And that's the same with fishing, is because I'm not going to mention any name, but I know a handful of guys that are really overweight in fishing, and they have been, and they've been some of the top anglers in the world, because when they get out there, even though they may not look the part of being an athlete, they have the athletic skills to allow them to exceed in the sport, to excel in the sport. So you can't, when you're talking about calling professional bass anglers athletes, you can't compare the type of athleticism to like a wide receiver in football. You can't, there's not going to be a lot of guys out there that can actually perform the same physical feats as some professional athletes, but at the same time, those professional athletes that can run, super fast, or, hit a ball 500 feet, if you put them out in a boat in 20-degree weather, or out in 6-foot waves, or out in 100-degree weather for a week solid, they're probably not going to do that well as far as physically holding up in that, because they're not conditioned to that type of activity. And that is where the athleticism comes in pro fishing, is that over the course of decades of fishing, you become conditioned to the elements and to the demands that are put on you through pro fishing. And obviously there's different levels of success. I mean, because you can take somebody that's a professional golfer that can hit a ball 400 yards, and they're a touring professional and they're a true athlete, and then some guys out there that just weekend golfers, you can't consider those people athletes. So it's the same with fishing. You got your athleticism on the top end of professional fishing, and then you have people just do it recreationally. But anyway, my my opinion and my point that I always make with Kim, we go back and forth, is I think professional bass anglers are athletes in their own right. They and they don't get the credit for that, for the athleticism that they have. But I'd be curious to know what everybody knows everybody thinks about that out there about that. Excuse me, man, I'm so congested from these sinuses, jeez. But anyway, shoot me some comments, guys. Let me know what you guys think. I'd be curious to know if you classify professional anglers as athletes or not, and should pros identify as that. On my Facebook page, I identify myself as an athlete on there because I consider myself an athlete. I mean, I spend time in the gym preparing for tournaments. I think there's athleticism involved in how I fish, and I guess that's something that everybody has to label themselves, one or not. So anyway, just a few thoughts for the day driving down the lake. I'll keep you guys updated on how the fishing's going down here. I'll probably do a little pre-tournament or pre-practice report tomorrow when I get off the water, and let you guys know how it's going. So have a good day. We'll see y'all later.